Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's student-led Board of Education Candidate Forum here at Castleview High School. My name is Maddie Robinson, and I am part of the Castleview Student Media team. Joining me as part of our student facilitation and moderation panel are fellow members of CV Media. Tonight we have Carla Castillo, Catherine McKenna, Caitlin Alexander, Drew Middleton, and Gavin Weisskopf.
Give them a round of applause.
I want to thank the candidates for their time this evening and would also like to thank those of you in attendance and those of you online who are engaging in the important process of electing 4 of these candidates to the Douglas County School District Board of Education in November. We're going to begin in just a few minutes. First, I would like to discuss norms for this evening as well as the format for tonight's forum. Masks are required to be worn at this student-led candidate forum by all attendees and participants unless otherwise exempt. Candidates and speakers may remove their masks while they are speaking. If you are 18 or older and wish to request an exemption from the mask requirement, please speak with DCSD staff to make your verbal request. For anyone under 18, a parent or guardian's written exemption is required. Thank you for your cooperation. We also ask that attendees please respect our process, the students, and the candidates. We will ask questions this evening, and our candidates will have time to respond to those questions. We ask our attendees, please do not interrupt, as we want everyone to have ample time to respond to each question. Our format for this evening will include a round of 1-minute introductions from the candidates, followed by a series of questions that have been prepared by our student group based on feedback received through the RSVP process for this forum. Each question will be read by one of our student moderators, and each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. Once all 9 candidates have provided their answers, we will move on to the next question and repeat this process until we reach the end of our time. After our question and answer portion, each candidate will have time for a 1-minute closing statement before we conclude the event. Once again, thank you for being with us this evening. We will now begin the formal portion of our Board of Education Candidate Forum. We will start with a quick 1-minute opening statement from each candidate. Mrs. Krista Holtzman, we will begin with you.
All right. First, I want to thank you all students and Castleview High School for having us, and thank all of you for being here tonight and for your interest in our schools. I'm Krista Holtzman, and I am the Vice President of your Douglas County School Board. As a preschool teacher and an attorney, I've spent my professional career advocating for the best interest of students and families. My own family has lived in Parker for over 20 years now, and my husband is a healthcare professional and a small business owner, and our 2 sons graduated from Chaparral High School in 2015 and 2016. And while they were in school, it was my great joy to volunteer in their classrooms and their extracurricular activities. While doing that, I gained a greater understanding of the amazing, dedicated, very caring staff, teachers, leaders, counselors, all the employees in our Douglas County School District that build such a strong foundation for our students. I also learned of some significant challenges facing our schools. So it's been my honor to serve for the past 4 years. I think we've made a great deal of progress, and I'm here tonight to ask for your vote so that I can continue that work and make sure that every student has excellent educational opportunities and supports to help them reach their full, unique potential. So again, my name's Krista Holtzman, and I just really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mrs. Kaylee Weiniger.
Thanks for hosting us, Castleview. My name's Kaylee Weiniger, and I'm running in District G. I have a daughter who's in kindergarten at her local neighborhood school, and I have one on the way due in April. So I'm in this for the short and the long haul. I also grew up in Douglas County. My siblings and I graduated from Ponderosa High School. And back when I was a Douglas County student, our district's kids scored accredited with distinction with the Colorado Department of Education. Since then, we've dropped to accredited, and I would love to see our academics get back to that accredited with distinction rating. And I believe we can get there by valuing our teachers and encouraging an environment that lets them do what they love, which is simply to teach our kids. I'm lucky enough to have one great resource on how to achieve a fun learning environment, once again, for our teachers and staff and kids, and that's my mom. She's sitting over here in the front row. She's still an elementary school teacher, and she taught in Douglas County for 15 years, and she loved working for this district. Finally, I'm a working mom who does accounting for a financial services company. I have studied on how our school district gets funded, and I promise to be an honest steward of our district's budget should I get the honor of being on the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mrs. Christy Williams.
Hi, thanks Castleview for having us again. My name's Christy Williams and I am running for School Board District E. I have 3 children in this district, a 1st grader, a 5th grader, and a 7th grader, so I too am in it for the long haul. When my son started school, I jumped straight in and started volunteering a lot at the schools, where I started at the PTO as the secretary and finished my term as the president, where we raised lots of funds for the school. But during that time, I also really learned how to listen to parents and their needs and the challenges that we face, and we're able to meet the needs of all of the parents at our school. After that, I joined the School Accountability Committee, and then from there was the liaison to the District's Accountability Committee, where I'm now going into my 2nd year serving there. My parents, too, are here, and I want to talk about the parent engagement. Again, I know I addressed that the other night, but really stressing how important it is. And I was blessed to have my parents super involved in my school childhood, and I would love to encourage that for all parents in this district. So again, I'm Christy Williams, running in District E. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mr. Kevin Lung.
Again, thank you for hosting us. My name is Kevin Leung. Dallas County School District is a great destination district. I'm so proud to be your current board member and treasurers. I grew up in extreme poverty in Hong Kong, and I was the son of illiterate parents. They teach me hard work and determinations can help me to move up. Thank you, my parents. I earned 2 master's degrees and have lived in the American dream. As a parent representative in the state, district, and school education committee, I am always a champion for parent engagement. I understand Dallas County really well because I lived here for 30 years, own a small local business, and my kids both go to charter and neighborhood school, unlike my opponents only have kids in charter school. Under current board leaderships, DCSD has been on a path of improvement on the last 4 years. I have a proven track record of getting things done, and I'm running for re-elections. I'm looking forward to your support to continue the stable leaderships and have an experienced person there to help guide the district to another great success. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mrs. Becky Myers.
Good evening. Thank you, Castleview High students, for having us here. My name is Becky Myers. I'm running for School Board District D. I'm a retired Douglas County school teacher. I'm a mother of 2 Douglas County High School graduates. I'm a grandmother to 3, all of which are in Douglas County. And I started substitute teaching when we moved here in 1993. In 1997, I was hired to open the Family and Consumer Science Department at Ranchview Middle School. I had been out of the classroom for 16 years, but I had a principal that took a chance on me. In 2004, I became the teacher librarian and completed my master's of information technology in 2005. I retired in 2014 and continued to sub for another 3 years. One of the reasons that I'm running for school board is for my grandchildren and for the other 64,000 students in this district. I support parent choice, and I want their voices to be heard. I also seek to become a board director because I know teachers and I want to be an advocate for them. Thank you for this opportunity to answer questions and to share my views.
Thank you. We will now hear from Dr. Ruby Martinez.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for hosting us this evening. I am a registered nurse. I'm an advanced practice psychiatric nurse. I'm retired from the University of Colorado, where I taught psychiatric nursing for 8 years. And before that, I worked at the state hospital, Fort Logan, working with severely mentally ill people. I am an advanced practice psych nurse, and I currently practice at All Health Network. I believe that education is the key to a prosperous and peaceful society, and that is why I am running for this board. I would like to bring my expertise in leadership, management, and mental health to the board, and I hope to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mrs. Julie Watkins.
Hi. Again, thank you, Castleview. This is, I guess, considered my home turf. I have a daughter who's a sophomore here, and I will be representing District B if I'm elected. My name is Julie Watkins, and I am running for school board in District B. I've been a Douglas County resident for the last 11 years, and for the last 10 years, when my kids started in the district, I've been an active volunteer in the schools and in the community. I also served as a PTO leader for several years, including 3 years as president of my, whoa, I just got really loud, of my children's elementary school. I am a product of public school system. I'm also a KU graduate with 25 years of strategic marketing communication experience. And I also did a 2-year stint as an executive director of a local nonprofit in my hometown that I helped build from a local nonprofit to a national one. I am here because I want to help build on the momentum that's been accomplished the last 4 years by our current board, including such things as continuing the safe in-person learning environment. I want to continue with the academic achievement improvement and also expanding teacher compensation and giving them more of a voice in our district. I hope you will consider me. I think I am a qualified candidate for Candidate B, and I hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mr. Mike Peterson.
Hi, I'm Mike Peterson. I'm running for Director at B. I'd like to thank Rex Corps and the Castleview family for hosting us. My background, I'm the son of a Philly cop and a lifelong teacher. I've got 3 daughters that all went up through or are still in public schools. I spent 25 years in the Navy, most of it flying on and off aircraft carriers. I also spent some time as an overseas multinational base officer and spent my last 3 years in the military as an assistant professor up at the United States Air Force Academy. I spent the last 10 years being a global consultant to high reliability industries, working on their performance, safety, leadership, and culture. Why I want to come to the district and what I think all the Kids First candidates want to bring here is we just want to get our teachers and parents back in a mutually respectful partnership in education for our kids. We know if we can put those 2 groups back together with respect, that we can achieve academic excellence in this district again, first making it accredited with distinction, then making it the best in the metro area, and then finally making it the best school district in the state. Mike Peterson, District B.
Thank you.
Good evening. Starting with question 1, what relationship do you intend to have with the newly formed Douglas County Health Board? Mrs. Krista Holtzman, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Let me take this off. It's fundamentally important to have strong partnerships with other governmental entities and community organizations. And during my time on the board, we've worked really hard to strengthen partnerships already in existence, as well as create new partnerships. We can look at just right here in Castle Rock at the STERM Collaboration Campus. It's been a great, successful partnership for us. We have many others in career and technical education that we've developed because career and technical education has increased by 50% during my time on the board. We also have partnerships with mental health and medical professionals like Dr. Cypers, who's helped train our counselors and give many parent engagement sessions. We've had partnerships with law enforcement that are long-standing, that we value and have strengthened, as well as a long-standing tradition of working with our local public health department. Unfortunately, the Douglas County Board of Health is not something that I have a lot of answers for right now. There are many unknowns. Though our superintendent works diligently to keep us informed of any significant things that may impact our students and our schools, unfortunately, our superintendent and our board members learned of the formation of the Douglas County Board of Health in the same way that all of you did, through the media. And so I have concerns. I know that great partnerships are built on effective communication, clear expectations, and wellness outcomes for students.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mrs. Kaylee Weiniger.
An open, approachable relationship with all Douglas County government offices is important for a healthy, thriving community. And Douglas County is a great county to live in. I grew up here and I had great memories going to Parker Days and hiking Castlewood Canyon and just enjoying the urban and rural lifestyle that you can have here in Douglas County. And I've watched this community grow. And while it has grown and changed a lot, the heart of our community has remained the same. And I know that's what brought me back here as an adult raising a family. I love everything this community offers and the safety and value and education it holds. If disrespect exists between any of the offices in our county, then that only hurts our community. And so it's important to have that good, respectable relationship among each office. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mrs. Christy Williams.
I intend to have relationships with all sorts of entities. We should want to partner with the health board, our commissioners, law enforcement, mental health facilities. We can learn a lot by creating sound partnerships. I know it's important to lean on experts when we don't have the answers. We should lean on health board to navigate health issues, the commissioners to help build a better community, and law enforcement to help make sure our kids are safe. We also need to lean on our mental health facilities like All Health Network and Denver Springs to help navigate the mental health crisis. This would go for all government agencies. I look forward to creating lasting partnerships with them so that we can make Douglas County better in all facets. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mr. Kevin Lung.
Currently, there is a Dallas County partnerships between the intergovernments in the county. We meet monthly. There is a safety committee in the district that will work with all the law enforcement officers. So Dallas County currently has a very great partnerships with each others, including this board, and we talk to the county commissioner quite honestly, regularly. So with this new health board, is nothing but another entity over there like what we used to. So there's nothing really special about that. The most important thing is, as the job of your board director, I need to make sure that I protect all students going back to in-person learning environment with minimal disruptions, including those with disability under American with Disability Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, and the Individual with Disability Education Act. I care about a special ed student, so I will work with the health board to make sure that all students have equal chance to go back to in-person learning. And again, the very important thing is we have done this in the last 4 years.
15 seconds.
And so we are part of it.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Mrs. Becky Myers.
I definitely intend to support our new health board and work closely with them on the safety of our students and staff. We need to build relationships with our community and our government entities, communicate with them. We need to be transparent and use the resources we all have together. I do not claim to be an expert on all things health related, but I believe we need to read all the information. And I want to work through any health crisis alongside this new Board of Health. This is Douglas County, and while we will not all agree, let's work together, make sure that we work in the best interests of our children.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Dr. Ruby Martinez.
I would like to have and see a constructive relationship between the Douglas County School District and the newly formed Health Board. But I do want to point out that a relationship goes two ways. There are we give and we take, and there's proper respect and good communication going both ways. Unfortunately, the newly formed Health Board violated a major norm in positive relationships, and that is they made a policy change, a significant policy change, without even consulting the school district. And I think they are aware that it would stir up the community even more. This is not an example of constructive leadership. So, going forward, yes, of course, I would want a good relationship with the group, but I would also want the group to really handle things a little bit differently in the future, and I also want them to look at whether they really have the expertise to be advising us about health matters as they stand right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Mrs. Julie Watkins.
Well, as a citizen and as a parent, I am concerned with what's been going on with the politicization, that's a very hard word to say, the politicization of our county's health board as we continue to navigate through this pandemic. The pandemic is not over, and in fact, our county is currently in the red/high community transmission status, which is when the CDC and the Colorado Health Department recommend universal masking wearing in indoor public settings. And that recommendation is set when the case rate exceeds 50 per 100,000 residents, and last week Douglas County was at 793. A few facts. Douglas County is also at 8% in positivity the last 7 days, well above the critical threshold of 5%. And that is all despite a 74.6 vaccination rate for those eligible, which a substantial part of our student population is not. And then breaking out by age group, the ones with the sharpest increase in cases this past week are school-age children. 6 to 11 was at 12% positivity in Douglas County, and 12 to 17 at 9%. The pandemic is not over. And as you all know, the Douglas County Commissioners dissolved the relationship that had been in place with Tri-County a few weeks ago, and last Friday exempted our students and parents from school mask mandates. And if I'm elected, the one thing I'm certain of is that I would fully advocate that we would be following public health advice from public health experts and not politicians.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Mr. Mike Peterson.
One of the first principles that all the Kids First candidates have is Douglas County student-centered decision-making, and the key words in there are Douglas County. The DC in DCSD does not stand for Washington, D.C., it doesn't stand for Denver, and it sure doesn't stand for Arapahoe or Adams. We need to make decisions here based on what is best for Douglas County. And in that case, relative to the Douglas County Board of Health or Health Department, I think we should have Team Douglas County here. That means the school board, the Department of Health, our legislators, our law enforcement, our small business owners, everybody in here on the same team, coordinating, collaborating, and doing what's right for Douglas County. When we talk about the health department in specific, there's a big difference between abdicating power and saying we will do whatever they tell us to do, like the current policy the board had with Tri-County, and consulting and conferring with in partnership with an honest dialogue. I think that's where we need to get back to. And then finally, why I applaud the school district for allowing verbal opt-outs, written opt-outs. We shouldn't have to ask for our rights back. We should just have them. And we should believe in parent and student choice to make their own risk decisions and make their own health decisions in this district. Relative to two people sitting here, Director Holtzman and my opponent, both have come out and actively supported vaccine mandates. And if we head down there, this is going to make Southwest Ireland strike look like a small event as parents and students flee this district. Let's put choice back first. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that moves us on to question 2. Many teachers feel that they are not properly paid for their advanced degrees and years of experience. How do you intend to incentivize and compensate teachers? We will start with Mrs. Christy Williams.
I would definitely say we need to make sure our teachers are taken care of. These are the people that love our children, and they deserve to be compensated. We need to ask what motivates them. We are currently paying our teachers far less than surrounding districts, and though we passed an MLO 3 years ago, the amount of money that the teachers received at that time was only $1,344.83 on average for the entire year. We need to create clear, concise, long-term plan so that our community and teachers know what is coming and when. What I can say from talking to teachers over the last few months is we have created a fear-based culture, and we need to fix that if we want to retain our amazing teachers. They need to feel that they come to work without feeling like they're looking over their shoulder all the time. Our teachers need to feel valued, and that means making them feel good about coming to work. Thank you.
And now we will hear from Mr. Kevin Lung.
So to make sure that you have a compensation system and compensate the teacher for higher educations, we need to make sure that why we don't have that is because the reform board that support my opponents in here, we move it. We never see any specific programs or plans from them on how to address it. There's a lack of transparency from the last debate and even right now on how they're going to do things. All they're going to tell you is high-level conceptual stuff. And talking about transparency, at the end of June, these 4 people was put up by somebody and run together and running campaign by out-of-state company with heavy donor. So how can we trust them to be able to take care of our teacher while their supporter is the one who caused these problems in the first place? Douglas County School District, in 2019, after we passed the mill and bond, we give out $32.1 million raise and additional $6 million for new counselor. It just shows another reason why we cannot trust them. They talk about MLO. They don't know no ideas of how to pass one because you need to put a lot of the pieces together to get the support over 50% to win the elections. They tried one in 2011 from the reformer, they failed. So trust us, we will get you there and give the teacher the compensations that they deserve.
Now we will hear from Mrs. Becky Myers.
One of the things that I want to do in the Kids First slate, we want to start conversations with our teachers. We want to find out what would be an incentive for them. In working with our great educators, we can figure out what their priorities would be, and then we'll create that roadmap that would provide an opportunity for them to grow and honor their contributions to our kids. The Employee Council is a professional and effective way to work with staff members to get the roadmap created. We also need to stop the division of the pay bands created by Brian Caesar. When a first grade teacher gets paid more than a fifth and sixth grade teacher, that system devalues our teachers and it stirs up resentment. So teachers want to enjoy working together and they want to celebrate their successes. They don't want to compete with one another over whose job is more valuable.
Now we will hear from Dr. Ruby Martinez.
I think that teachers with advanced degrees should be compensated when the focus of that degree brings value to the school. For example, if the district identifies that there is a need for physics teachers, teachers who would teach calculus, statistics, chemistry, whatever that might be, I think those higher degrees really bring incredible knowledge back into the district. And so I would like to see them, I would like to see compensation. I would like to see tuition assistance when teachers are pursuing those degrees with the intent of bringing that knowledge back to the district. I think that we can set a structure in place that does reward teachers for completing that higher degree. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Mrs. Julie Watkins.
I think that we all agree that our teachers deserve to be paid more in this district, and those with advanced degrees should also be compensated more for that expertise. And the passage of the MLO in 2018 helped start the process of closing the teacher pay gap, but it wasn't enough. There are policies and programs that were dismantled during the reformer era. They enacted pay freezes, purged all teacher information from the HR system, started presenting teacher contracts without salary included, dissolved the CBA with the Federation, and adopted a pay-for-performance metric that's designed for corporate America and not the education sector, and removed all forms of additional pay, including for advanced degrees. Undoing all of that damage is incredibly time-consuming, and the current board has made a lot of headway, but there is still much work to be done. If I am elected, I would support the continuation and expansion of increasing teacher compensation and would advocate to ensure that new salary structures would account for advanced degrees, specialized training, and experience. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Mr. Mike Peterson.
Many of our opponents constantly refer to this reform board. Well, I'll tell you one thing that the reform board and this board has in common. They constantly do things to people and not with them, and that is wrong. So relative to compensation, the best thing you can do for teachers is ask them what compensation they want. And I think that's something that everyone up here agrees with. Get the teacher input, ask them what they want, because you incorporate their ideas instead of forcing them top down. They'll own their system. It'll be the system they want, and it'll be a fair and just system that rewards everyone based on what their value is. Other things here, it's not just compensation. We need to look at professional development, right? Not just advanced degrees, but what the teachers are learning. Ask them what they need, where the gaps are. Don't push CRT on them like was done earlier in the year with the Gemini group. Look for things like professional development in evidence-based dyslexia programs. Look for things for mainstream teachers to better deal with our special needs kids, which are in and out of their classrooms. And that professional development doesn't have to come from consultants. It can come from inside the district, from our awesome special education professionals. Finally, Director Long just said our supporters caused this problem. Our supporters are parents and teachers. They are not the cause of the problem. They are the solution. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Mrs. Krista Holtzman.
Yes, and unfortunately, I'm going to need to correct some of the misinformation that's been shared before I answer this question. I would like to say that our relationship with Tri-County Health Department was actually an example of working together. They advocated together with us for more targeted quarantines. And I didn't realize that asking a question at a board meeting makes me a supporter of something. In fact, I am actually asking for information so that our public will know. I asked the question, will we be requiring vaccinations of our teachers? And that was 2 days after they started doing it in Aurora. I thought our parents, our teachers, and our students had a right to know if we were exploring that option. I asked the question once, I haven't asked it again, and obviously we haven't made that requirement. And also, I'm just going to go ahead and answer the question because there's so much misinformation, it's hard to address it all. But I definitely agree that teachers, especially teachers in Colorado, where we rank last for the competitive wage of teachers of all the states, they definitely are not being paid for their higher education. However, we have made great strides to overcome the misguided market-based pay system that we inherited. We've prioritized 84 to 85% of our budgeted revenue to spend on compensation, and we've increased compensation by $65 million over 4 years. And I also just want to say in my last 5 seconds that less than 5% of our budgeted revenue goes to what we call overhead, district-wide expenses, which includes our top administrators and electricity. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Mrs. Kaylee Weiniger.
The best way to know what will incentivize teachers is to ask teachers. I know when my mom went to get her master's back in the early 2000s, her incentive was a meaningful raise, and she thought that was great. Since then, we've had a recession and budget cuts, and many incentives were taken away. And yes, those years had bad leadership decisions made, and we lost many great teachers, and I do not want to return to those years. Unfortunately, in talking to teachers, I don't think a comparative incentive to get a higher degree has been brought back, which is too bad because as the board of an education system, we should incentivize and value having our educators further their education. And so I would love to see competitive incentives brought back, like raises that encourage our great teachers to further their education with advanced degrees. Thanks.
Thank you.
For our third question, what policies do you plan on passing in order to prevent violence in schools? Mrs. Becky Myers, we'll start with you.
I'm not sure policies are the best answer, but I think that it's building relationships, and we're going to have to create partnerships with our community, with our teachers, with any resource that we have out there in our community. And it's been, we need to definitely collaborate with our law enforcement, our social workers, and experts in this field. We need to build the trust in our community so parents can finally feel that their students are safe in schools. We need to focus on prevention, and that means we're going to have to recognize red flag situations so we can take immediate action.
Thank you. Dr. Ruby Martinez.
The best predictors of violence, and we know this in the field of mental health, is whether or not a person has been violent in the past. And violence usually starts at a lower level and it builds. When there is violence in the schools, it must be addressed by adults who care about the young people involved. But remember, it's not the policy that's going to make that happen. It is the people who can prevent violence by engaging with others and noticing when someone is in crisis. And you may be saying to yourself, well, how would I know someone's in crisis? Within mental health, what we look for is a significant shift in behavior, whether someone is feeling defeated, maybe someone is being bullied. Anytime there is intense anger, intense emotion involved, or people feeling like they have to get even, we really need to have be on high alert and reaching out to help young people so that we can avoid and prevent violence. I believe that adults will role model what is acceptable behavior.
15 seconds.
So we have to keep our own behavior in check. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Julie Watkins.
There is nothing more terrifying than feeling that your child is vulnerable at school. And when my oldest daughter was in first grade, I've been volunteering in her classroom all morning, and when I got in my car to leave, my phone was blowing up with alerts about Sandy Hook. And I vividly remember just sobbing uncontrollably in a school parking lot and wanting so desperately to go back in and grab her and take her home with me. And driving away and trusting that she was safe in her school was really hard. But the thing was, I do trust that my kids are safe in their schools, but it doesn't make it any less terrifying as a parent. The district already does have many preventative policies in place, such as the partnership with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, providing the SRO officers, our Safe to Tell program, and of course there's always room to do better, and preventing violence in our schools is a job that's not ever completely done. In the past 4 years, the current board increased physical security measures in all our schools, including our DCSD charter schools, and that was made possible with funding from the MLO bond measure that was approved by the voters in 2018. When the current board initiated that measure, they sought input from all stakeholders, including community leaders,
15
SAC
seconds.
leaders, charter school leaders, students, and parents. And that funding also supported the district being able to double its mental health resources. I would always advocate for continuing to find new resources to help keep our students safe in schools, and continuing to focus on mental health resources, physical security, and other preventive resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for Mr. Mike Peterson.
Yeah, I think we agree policies in themselves don't prevent violence in schools. You need planning, partnership, and proficiency before events happen. That's partnering with our law enforcement experts, partnering with our other folks in the communities, groups like Able Shepherd. We have some experts here that are not part of the system that provide great advice. And here's a really radical idea. The real way I think you prevent violence in schools is you follow the example of John and Maria Castillo, and you raise more kids of character like Kendrick Castillo, the hero of the STEM school shooting. If you raise kids to have honor, integrity, courage, and respect, not only will they shore up the community and act heroically when called upon, they will also protect the other kids. They will stop bullying of people based on gender, identity, race. And if we get those strong kids of character in our community, we won't have violence in our schools. Finally, our partnership with our law enforcement officers goes both ways. Not only do we need to rely on their advice and expertise to make our schools safer, we need to return our law enforcement officers back to their position of respect in the society. See our SROs and police officers as mentors, role models, and safe people that our kids can go to. So we need to respect these people and put them back in the position of respect that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Krista Holtzman.
Sure. So I believe that we already have policies in place to have a strong framework for preventing violence. You may know that our board has undertaken over the past 4 years a comprehensive review of all of our policies, some of which hadn't been updated in over 20 years. So we wanted to make sure that they were in alignment with the best practices that we're already doing in our schools, as well as state statute. So as a part of that review, I know that we have policies that are very strong in this area. I also agree that our partnerships with law enforcement are so incredibly important, as well as our very own Douglas County School District security staff. I absolutely agree that they're very important. One of the other things that I think is important is making sure that we advocate for laws that don't impinge on the best practices we have in our schools. And one of our policies says that, yes, our law enforcement and our security personnel that are certified are able to carry firearms in our schools. But I have advocated before, and I will continue to advocate, that there should not be other people carrying firearms in our schools. So I think that's also important. Thanks.
Thank you. Now for Mrs. Kaylee Weiniger.
Yes, policies are good to have, but they are not what prevents violence. Having reliable and effective security is what will help prevent violence. I think that starts with repairing and strengthening this district's relationship with law enforcement. I'm not the expert on the best and most effective form of security each school needs, so I need law enforcement's input and expertise. And we have some great SROs, security resource officers in Douglas County. One story I loved was from a mom whose son was new, and he started hanging out with a group of boys who tended to get in trouble. The SRO recognized that this boy wasn't joining in on the trouble, but rather hanging around during it. And the SRO personally contacted her, the mother, to share what he was seeing, and because of that show of concern and care, a relationship and trust was established, and now that young man is thriving with a great group of friends. And I mean, how great of a role model is that? Someone who sees each person and situation for what's really going on and intervening in a trustworthy and caring way. So I believe that strengthening our relationship and adhering to the expertise of law enforcement is a great step to prevent violence in schools. Thanks.
Thank you. Now for Mrs. Christy Williams.
Preventing violence in schools is less about policy and more about what we do to keep teachers and kids safe. I can tell you that partnering with law enforcement is a huge help. For instance, we have amazing SROs, as everyone else up here has said. Every morning when I drop my kids off at school, I see Officer Reimer outside. He's greeting the kids, he's giving them high fives, and he's making those kids feel safe just by being there. He also makes me feel like I know I'm gonna pick my kid up at the end of the day. There's no greater feeling as a parent to know than that your kids are safe. We need to continue to grow our partnerships because They are the experts when it comes to safety and security. Having said that, our commissioners gave the district millions of dollars to put towards the security of our schools. We still have a majority of those funds unspent. I am not the expert on security, so we need to talk to law enforcement to figure out how that should be spent. The security of our staff and students should be our #1 priority by investing the dollars we have allocated and strengthening our partnerships with law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, for Mr. Kevin Lung.
Again, the difference between us and the other side is we are already doing this. There's a security committee that meets monthly to coordinate with all the law enforcement officers to try to make sure that we look at the security. And we have a state-of-the-art system that I visit myself. And also, we are the one in here to actually work with parents and teachers to have a great relationships, unlike what the other side claim they will, which I have never seen. Talk is cheap. We have a parent engagement to talk to the parents. We have a policy that we passed a couple years ago. We have a special ed committee. We have AGT to talk to the one with the gift talented parents. We have a special ed talk with parent engagement sections, leader for Douglas County School cohort, and connections, which is for the Spanish-speaking family, back to school form, parent, university. All those are great examples that we're already doing, talking to parents. Just because there's some loud parents supporting them does not mean that all the parents is for them. And that is a big distinction.
15
Secondly,
seconds.
we trust our teacher. They want to put camera in every teacher's classroom so they can monitor whether teach CRT or not. But we trust teacher. Look at how many painted car in the school to show who the teachers support, which is us in here.
Time.
Thank you.
And that brings us to question 4. As a woman, person of color, and member of the LGBTQ+ community, what steps should be taken to mitigate racism, sexism, homophobia, and other forms of discrimination in schools? We'll start off with Julie Watkins.
I think that the district's current equity policy is a solid framework from which to build on. That policy was enacted last March to document DCSD's continued commitment to ensuring that all students have equitable access to a quality education. And it also reaffirms the district's commitment to providing an inclusive culture where all students, staff, and community members feel safe and valued. Unfortunately, racism, sexism, homophobia continue to permeate our communities. And the equity policy documents that the district is actively identifying that kind of behavior that makes students and staff feel targeted and discriminated against. The next step is to implement the solutions that can address that. And I support this policy, and I will, and I think we can do more. I'm passionate about the importance of having a supportive and welcoming community in and out of our schools for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're moving on to Mike Peterson.
As I mentioned, I have a couple special daughters. One of them's adopted from China, and no, she's not good at math. She hates it, but she loves English, she loves art, and she thrives. I have another daughter who has special needs. She's pretty high functioning. People saw her as quirky, odd, weird, and she was the subject of some bullying. And what's not in my bio, but it's true, is my brother's a gay man. He's been out of the closet for decades, and he's married to another man, and he's one of my closest confidants. And we went to school together, and you've got to stick up for everybody as individuals. So that's where it starts, treating teachers, individual students, staff, parents, everyone as the unique individuals they are. Value, respect, and honor their identity with kindness. You don't have to agree with their choices, you don't have to adopt them, but you need to treat people with respect and dignity. I had one teacher, when I was knocking doors, talk to me, and we were talking about bullying, and I said, do you think this is a problem in the classroom? And she said, Mike, you don't know the half of it. It's not just a problem in the classroom. You should see the staff room. So bullying, whether it's at the staff room or other places occurring between adults, is also not acceptable. Parents and teachers need to come together with respect for each other if they're going to partner. And the last thing we need to solve this is leadership. Leadership does not amplify our differences. It does not put us into separate groups as oppressors, victims, and certainly not by immutable characteristics or identity choices. It focuses on what is common, and it emphasizes our humanity.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to Krista Holtzman.
I agree. Many of us, I would say most of us, share a value of loving one another, caring for our neighbor. In fact, one of our high schools has a motto of take care of one another. I know one of our elementary schools just says stick with kindness. And those are great ways that our schools are doing what they need to do, which is help students learn how to successfully work with diverse populations. They have to be able to do that to succeed in life. And it goes beyond just being kind and beyond just the phrase, take care of one another. We also have to create teaching and learning cultures that present unbiased, authentic, and culturally relevant information so that students can see themselves in what they're learning and they are more engaged and begin to understand one another. And we also need to acknowledge that these things happen in our schools. They happen in our county, they happen in our state, and in our nation, and we as an adult have a responsibility to model appropriate behavior and to understand and care for each other. And unfortunately, at some of our recent board meetings, I have to say we haven't been modeling appropriate behaviors for our students when we are mocking gender-identifying pronouns and other things. So I think it also starts with our community. We can't do it all at school. We have to do it together, and I know that we all want to do that.
Thank you. And next, we'll go to Kaylee Weiniger.
I want Douglas County schools to be an environment where every child that walks through those doors feels safe and feels loved. I believe in encouraging a culture of treating every person with kindness, regardless of their background. And I want our schools to have the resources and help that each individual needs in order to succeed. There currently does exist Board of Education policies about discrimination, and there's also great programs like Second Step out there. And so Douglas County currently does not tolerate bullying of any form. And as a board member, I agree. I think an effective way for me to encourage a culture of kindness is to be that example, to demonstrate the action behind the words of what treating every person with kindness looks like. And so having leaders that set that tone of kindness and compassion is a great step to encouraging a culture that does not tolerate discrimination. Thanks.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move to Christy Williams.
Thank you. I talked a little bit about this on Monday night. I'm a mom of a child who was bullied, and that is never acceptable. No child should ever feel ashamed or feel shamed for who they are. And I believe that every child that walks through the doors of Douglas County schools should feel welcomed, safe, a sense of belonging, and feel like they have someone to go to. I know at my kids' school that we have the kids partner. They have an adult that they can go to, one of the teachers, maybe it's another staff member, but to always feel like they have someone to go to. And I think that could certainly be something that we could look at throughout the district. And I think that we need to be treating each child as an individual wherever they are at, whatever that may be. And we need to be emphasizing kindness. And as Ms. Holtzman said, it starts at the top. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll move to Kevin Lung.
As an Asian Americans during the COVID years, it has not been kind to us because of the protocol and social stigmatism related to disease. So to me, this is a personal, I feel it in the last 18 months. So I'm a strong advocate to make sure that people need to be kind to each other. Bullying is a big problem. And also, speed up. Speed up. When you see problems, not trying to join their value, when they say that I'm anti this, anti that, and you still put your name over there, you're absolutely right. As a board member, we need to set a good example and not sitting in the boardroom and during the August board meeting to be a part of those disrespectful people. When somebody disagrees with them, they will just yelling or turn their back on them. That is not the behavior we want to let our kids show. You need to speed up when you see those things. If you don't speed up, you are part of them. And also, the Douglas County School District has a lot of programs that currently help that. And our past 4 years, we have anti-bullying program, cyber-bullying programs, Safe to Tell, Yes, Lifeline, Source of Strength, and Crisis and Suicide Prevention Hotline. And we have a student advisory group that we all constantly sit advise. And also, we have a lot of parent engagement opportunity. As I mentioned a while ago, we have a lot to talking to parents to seek their advice. So thank you. This is an important issue. Please speed up.
Thank you. And next we'll move to Becky Myers.
We are definitely seeing an increased degree of discrimination. Some of the culprits of this discrimination I'm going to blame on social media, our lockdowns, and our less face-to-face interaction. We need to educate our students and to recognize and understand the difference between one another and to accept these differences. I'm also a mother of an adult woman today who was made fun of in high school here at Douglas County for her weight and some of the social people that she ran around with. Today, she is a successful teacher in Douglas County and the mother of 3 beautiful children. I'm an educator at heart, which is not only teaching, but it's recognizing students who are hurting and who need that extra care and attention. All kids need to feel included, so we have to have those difficult conversations. We know from experience it's incredibly hard to have those conversations face to face. Let's help students have an understanding of one another. Let's encourage them to have humanity and compassion. This is on all of our teachers, our counselors, our social workers, our parents, our community members, and together we can make this a big difference for our children.
Thank you. And next we have Dr. Ruby Martinez.
I'm going to share a personal story with you. When I was in middle school, back in the day they called them the junior high school, my parents were notified that the children in my neighborhood were going to be bused to another area because they wanted to have children of different races mixing and getting to know one another. And so we would get on the school bus and we went to another neighborhood, a junior high school, and it was really quite frightening because I can truly say that many of the children that I was in class with had never interacted with Hispanic children. They had never sat down and talked with us or they had never interacted with any Hispanic people. They had not interacted with black children. So I have to tell you that it was a little bit scary in the beginning. It really was. The Denver police would come and they would monitor our getting on and off the buses and making sure that everything was going smoothly. I will tell you, though, that after a period of time, we started to interact with one another. I would not give up that experience for anything because I learned so much about other people and I made some really good friends. I believe that we can make a difference, and I would call on the student leaders to help us make this happen because our children do not carry the same prejudices that we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
For our next question, I will ask, what steps do you intend to take to ensure students are prepared to go to college and/or enter the workforce? We will begin with Mrs. Krista Holtzman.
Thank you. So often when we're asked this question, we start near graduation. But for me, this really starts in our early childhood years. So what I would like to see as I continue my work on the board is a renewed focus on strengthening our early childhood education. And I've recently been a part of a transitionary subgroup. You may or may not remember that there was something that passed called Proposition EE, which is a tax on nicotine. And basically what that is going to do is by July of 2023, we'll be having more preschool opportunities for all of our children. Every child will be eligible for at least 10 hours, and there's other funding that can lengthen that time during the week. So I'm looking forward to that because we know that our children grow and develop before age 5 at such an incredibly fast rate that is foundational, that we have to do that right. So early childhood and kindergarten are very important, and I would focus on that. And then as our children go through school, I would want to make sure that they have lots of choices, that they can focus on things that they're interested in, that they have music and art, as well as STEM and foreign language.
15 seconds.
And as they get to high school, I want to make sure that they still have those choices, and they may be in the bridge program, or they may choose CTE or AP or concurrent enrollment, but giving our students all the opportunities they can will be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Kaylee Weiniger.
This past year and a half has been new territory and tough on our kids and our teachers and staff. Our role as an education system is absolutely to help prepare our students for college and/or the workforce route. Our priority as an education system is that our students are testing at the levels they should in reading, writing, math, and science that will allow them to excel in whatever route they choose after high school. So I think it is important to level with our teachers and make sure they feel like they have the resources they need to help any student who is struggling with their testing. Help the teachers know that they are supported. Make school a happy place again. We can't bring up our test scores if our teachers don't have joy in their job. And we are failing our kids if we don't prioritize their learning. Kids' well-being and education comes first at our schools, and our schools need to be that environment where they can thrive and learn. Thanks.
Thank you. We will now move on to Christy Williams.
All students should be met wherever they are. This includes gifted and talented students, mainstream students, and special education students. Douglas County has come a long way with career and tech education. There are obviously always ways that we can improve. We could look first to our neighbors in Cherry Creek and see that their big innovation center and what amazing opportunities that provides. As someone who chose to go a different route after high school, I would really like to see Douglas County create more pathways to success for those who don't choose college. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Kevin Lung.
Again, the difference between us and our opponent is that this current board has already doing the things that they all has been saying. Our graduation rate is the highest in the Metro Denver area with over 91.2%. And because we know how to get a graduated student all the credit that they need. In the class of 2022, a new graduate system is in place. This current board has already all worked out for the fourth step of how do they move to that graduation class, which is next year. We don't release their ability to make sure that we implement the programs, not brought in 4 new people who know nothing about how to get to that 2022 new graduation standard. Our CTE programs, ever since we are elected in the last 4 years, our certified programs has been increased by over 115%. Our number of students enrolled into CTE, the career tech educations, has been over 8,400, which is a 52% increase in the last 3 years. We done it. We have results to prove it. my opponent should not go to Cherry Creek. We have a wonderful collaborative center in
15
Castle Rock,
seconds.
which you can just go to see. And that program's concurrent enrollment saved $3 million in tuitions. So we done it. Trust us. We were going to improve it.
Thank you. We will now move on to Becky Myers.
First of all, I think some of the things that we need to do is take some extra stuff off of our teachers' plate and just let them educate. We need to start in elementary. We need to push literacy, math, science, and the basics. All students need to be challenged. And as teachers, we encourage them to work hard, complete assignments, and to set the goals, whether it's the goal to go to college, a trade school, or just be an entrepreneur. We need to provide more alternatives and continue to grow our career and technical education opportunities. I have two completely different children, and while my daughter that I talked about went to college and she's a teacher, I have a son that needed to be guided on a different path, and that didn't include college. Now, I recognized at an early age that he was an entrepreneur. When you have a bucket full of snakes in your bathroom and he's selling them to the neighborhood, and then his next opportunity was pick up all the golf balls at the end of the day off the golf course and resell them back to the people that were golfing, I knew that this boy was just different and he was needed to be guided. So what we need to do is we need to recognize that our students learn differently and they need choices.
Thank you.
Can we please refrain from interruptions during responses? Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Dr. Ruby Martinez.
I agree with many of the comments that have already been made by my colleagues up here on the stage. I think it is really important that we encourage students to really start thinking at that very young age. What is it that you want to do with your life? Where are you going? What's important to you? And I do think it has to happen early enough in their education so they can begin to prepare. You can't have someone in their 11th grade say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist. If you have not already built those strong science and math skills, they're going to really struggle. So we really have to start at a fairly young age, but I really think we should set a goal as a district that every child will have a plan for their next step when they graduate. I have encountered lots of young people who say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to go and I'm going to work. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I also have seen some people who are very talented, and if someone would have helped them set a plan in place, I think that they could have done so much more. And so I would like to see us hold that expectation that every child will have a plan by the time they graduate. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Julie Watkins.
I too agree with so many things that everyone up here has said tonight. And I'll kind of playing on what Ruby said earlier. When I was in high school in an era called the 80s, pretty much everybody was on a track or trying to be on a track to go to college. And now times have changed, and we now recognize that there are different pathways, and not going to college is okay. And I think it is the responsibility of the public school system to prepare students for whatever path it is that they choose to take. And the number of CTE programs that have just exploded over the last few years in the district is a huge testament to the recognition of that, of the school district. And I support continuing to expand that effort. And for the students who want to pursue higher education, the district does offer even more opportunities for concurrent college credit courses, and that does save the parents money down the road because they've already got the credit hours, and maybe they get to graduate a year earlier than they would before. And I would just round this all out to say that if I were elected, I would continue to support the expansion of all of these different pathways. Thank you.
Thank you. We will finally hear from Mike Peterson.
Yeah, the question mentions two of our pathways, but if you read the vision and mission statement for the district, there's actually three identified, which is post-secondary education, that awesome career vocational track, direct entry into the workforce, and the third one's military service. And that's the pathway I took. And I think all three of those I think we all agree up here, are equally valid. And we need to promote each of those depending on what works best for the child and the student. I'd like to add a fourth one, though. I think three isn't good enough. I think the fourth pathway that we absolutely need to emphasize, and this is for our kids with special needs and disabilities. It's a pathway that my daughter went down, and it's independent living skills and self-advocacy for our future adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Because what they learn or what they don't learn while they're in the school system, all the way through the bridge program, which they can stay in until they're 21 years old to make sure they get those extra skills. What they learn or what they don't learn has a profound impact on their independence and future quality of life. So let's add that fourth track in there and let's emphasize them all. I think that's absolutely critical. And I mentioned it on Monday, I'll mention it again. You want to see what right looks like on that pathway? Look at Mike Nichols, the bridge student that went to the Board of Education,
15
advocated
seconds.
for himself, and got an in-person graduation for the bridge program. That is what success looks like.
Thank you, candidates, for your responses this evening. As we wrap up, we would like to provide each of you a 90-second opportunity to leave our audience with one last statement about yourself, your candidacy, or your priorities for the Douglas County School District. Mrs. Christy Williams, we will start with you.
So thank you everyone for coming tonight, and thank you Castleview for hosting us. Douglas County is my home. I love this county and this school district. It's why my family chose to move here. I want to bring back clear, concise leadership. I want to provide a culture for our teachers, students, bus drivers, lunchroom attendants, staff, administration can be proud of. I couldn't be more proud to run with these three amazing candidates. I urge you to vote for Mike Peterson, Becky Myers, Kaylee Weiniger, and myself. And I'm going to leave you with this. A parent reached out to me the other day talking about how amazing our kids are, and I couldn't have said it better myself, so I'm just going to read it. Our kids are the most kind, empathetic, most accepting, most diverse generation to live on this planet. If anything, they have a lot to teach the generations before them. We need to stop spending money on programming to point out our differences when our kids embrace each other's differences as normal everyday life. We don't give our kids enough credit. All they hear is that we adults are working hard to fix what's wrong with them. There is nothing wrong with them. That's an adult agenda. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Kevin Lung.
My prince is absolutely correct. Our Dallas County School District kid is amazing because we are a destination school district that produce those amazing kids who tell her those amazing things. And thank you for pointing out one of the proudest accomplishments that I have as your school board director, which is we not only improve academic achievement and increase career and technical certifications programs. Besides Dallas County has the highest graduation rate, we also train our kids to be kind, to be able to not stay above politics. Just look at our amazing student over here to have the last two debate, the form that they have. You can see how wonderful the programs in Dallas County School District has done to our kids, including my opponent's testimony a while ago. I have worked, and will continue to work if we elected to safely keep in-person learning, expand mental health access, and career technical education for students, repair aging school building using the bond money, increase teachers' pay, which we have done it for $67 million in the last three years, including the 1 year that we cannot pay them due to COVID. Academic achievement, parental improvement is one of the things that I accomplished, and maintain fiscal stability and also stability overall. So we have accomplished a lot, and I tell you I have accomplished a lot.
Time.
And I hope to earn your votes this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mrs. Becky Myers.
Well, I certainly think that we can all agree that we all care about kids. We just have different opinions about how we're going to do this. And I believe, first and foremost, it is so important to listen. We need to listen to our parents, the teachers, the community. We need to use the resources and the experts that we have out there. And I cannot stress enough that a school board in this large of a district should be making decisions with input from everyone. I also want to say, as a retired teacher, I certainly want my former teachers to say that they learned in my class. And I taught them how to think, but not what to think. But even more important than that, at the end of the day, I want them to say that I was a teacher that cared about them and that I genuinely loved kids. I'm advocating for all students. I believe that both teachers and parents need to have a voice in their kids' education. So remember to vote for our Kids First slate, Kaylee, Christy, Mike, and Becky Myers, District D. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now hear from Dr. Ruby Martinez.
I do agree that we need to listen to each other, but I also wish to say that we need to tell the truth. We need to speak the truth. There was a comment made today about we can't be teaching critical race theory in our schools, and I just need to say this out loud. I don't believe there is any teacher in Douglas County or any other school district in the United States teaching critical race theory. It's a very complex theory. It is not appropriate even for high school level students. I believe that someone is passing that rumor because it serves some purpose for them. I also want to say that we also have to speak the truth about the pandemic is not over. As a registered nurse, I wish to tell you that my fellow nurses, doctors, respiratory therapists, the other people in healthcare have risked their own lives caring for people who have been sick with COVID, people who have died, people who have had to die alone. And what I wish to say is, I just want people to tell the truth. I want people to understand the pandemic is not over.
15 seconds.
And if you really love this county, then please speak the truth. Thank you. Because even one child dying is not acceptable to me.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Mrs. Julie Watkins.
Hi. Spending the last decade volunteering in our schools and in our classroom gave me an up-close view to the great things that are happening and some of the things that need to be improved. And one of the things I can assure you of is, contrary to what my opponent and some others on the Kids First slate have said, they are not being taught what to think. They are being taught how to think. Our teachers are doing a great job of showing all perspectives and challenging our students to think critically. I'm passionate about preserving our in-person learning in a safe environment. We cannot afford to lose anyone else in this district, not even one more child. And I would hope that we would continue to have the public health experts guiding us in any future decisions. My opponent also spoke Monday about getting into the classrooms to understand our students. And I believe that my experience doing so the last 10 years prepares me to serve on the board, and I'm ready to start from day one. I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mike Peterson, you're next.
Yeah, there's some things that separate your average teams and your exceptional elite teams. When I was at Top Gun, every debrief started with self-critique. Every member of the flight got up there and said, this is what I did wrong, no matter how minor. And then they went that second step and said, I will commit to fix this. I will make this better. Then we went back around and the group critiqued each other. They offered sometimes rough and honest opinions, but we saw that as a gift. We didn't see it as personal attacks, as microaggressions, or anything of the sort. We knew that we were getting critiqued by our teammates because they wanted the team to get better. We celebrated success, but we embraced failure even more, because it was through failure and admitting to that failure that we learned. We need to bring those two elements back to this district, and those two elements are humility to admit when you're wrong, because we're not always going to get it right, and then the accountability to say, I got it wrong, I'm listening, and I will fix it. And you show that you're listening by taking action, not lip service, not putting in programs. You look at the effect that they're having, and that's what we need: accountability, humility, and leadership. And we will bring that through Kids First. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Krista Holtzman, it is your turn to speak.
Yes. And I couldn't agree more. Good teams see opportunity for growth. And I certainly see those, and I am really hoping, and I would be honored if you would let me continue this work, because our actions have spoken pretty loudly. When we first started, we did exactly what we said we would do. We ended the pursuit of a voucher system that would have sent public dollars to private schools with no accountability. We passed a bond in MLO, and we started the most comprehensive capital improvements project in the history of Douglas County School District. We've been repairing buildings that have been neglected for many years. We have enhanced physical security in all of our schools, including our charter schools, and in fact, we included them in the bond for the first time in DCSD history. With our MLO dollars, we were able to add counselors at every elementary school and increase the access at our secondary schools from 1 to 350 to one counselor to 250 students, which is a gold standard admired across our state. Our teachers now have starting salaries above the average in the Denver metro area. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. And I want to stick around so that we can continue to
15
improve
seconds.
and implement a more competitive and stable compensation structure. I just want to say quickly, 4 years of stable leadership have paid off. Our students are doing well. Their achievement scores are higher than any district in the Denver metro, save one. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Kaylee Weiniger.
The reason I and all parents in our great community send our kids to school every weekday is because we are trusting our teachers and staff to educate our kids in academics so they will be ready for college or the workforce. The test scores in our districts are good but can definitely improve. And I believe the way we get those numbers higher is improving our school culture. This includes freeing up teachers to simply teach academics and have joy in teaching again, encouraging and setting an example of an environment of civil debate and respectful dialogue so that our classrooms can feel safe, welcoming, and less stressful, and also ultimately having trust in our school board again. Our community is made up of different views and perspectives, and that's good. What's not good is that those different views and perspectives are not represented on the current school board. A vote for Myers, Weiniger, Williams, and Peterson will bring that representation and bring that trust. Thanks.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes our DCSD Board of Education Candidate Forum. On behalf of Castleview High School, I want to thank you all for your interest in the students and staff of the Douglas County School District, especially the Sabercats of Castleview. If you have any questions or feedback about tonight's event, please email Mr. Nate Jones in the DCSD Communication Office at ndjones@dcsdk12.org. He has helped us during this process, and he would be happy to take your feedback for future events. Thank you all for coming, and have a great night.
Hi, folks. Second that, but I do want to give a quick couple of shout-outs before we let you go. Thank you to Robert Scott, theater teacher here at Castleview High School. I think this is like the 4th event that we've hosted here in the last month. There is so much set design going on behind this curtain, and we've just been in his way constantly. So thank you, Robert Scott. I would like to personally thank Chris Shalene. You can't see him. He's behind here. He's running our live stream and our sound tonight. Stacy Blaylock and Jan Reagan, who are running the cameras down there. Please give them a round of applause. They're working their tails off. And then lastly, Dr. Rex Core, Mr. Ryan Hollingshead, thank you guys so much for opening up at Castleview. And then let's just have one more round of applause for our CV media students. Stand up. Take a bow. Thank you for coming. We've got one more forum on October 25th. It's a Monday after fall break at Legend High School. Please join us there if you're interested in hearing more. We appreciate your time and thank you. Good night.